realised that we've actually got a bit of a leaky diff. It's weeping from the cover, and we've got the driver's axle seals leaking too. I guess today I'll be jacking this up, pulling the diff cover off, drop the oil, and fix this axle seal, top it up again, and take it out for a spin. So I'm working on the diff. It's good to put your jack stands up front here, so that way the diff can lower down and it's easier to get to without being stuck behind the fuel tank. I always chuck the wheel under the bit of the car, so that way if there is any issues and the car does drop, at least I'm going to be protected, it won't land on me. So we'll pop off the diff cover and then we'll let all the oil drain into here. This bit always sucks, is trying to break the seal and get the diff cover off. Let's see how we go. Well, one good sign is there's still some oil in there. There we go. All right, so we've got the cover out. So we'll clean that up. The one thing I've found to help get a bit of that gasket maker off is using a bit of wax and grease remover and just a non-scratch scourer. And already that's come up pretty good. These always get tightened in. This bit of metal will start to swell out, which is then going to stop it from sealing as well, because it'll be nice and tight on all these points, but loose in between. So what you can do is get yourself a socket that fits, getting it underneath like that, so it sits in place. Get yourself an extension, put that there, and then give it a hit in. So what that'll do is that's going to recess this in again, which then when it gets tightened up, it's going to seal across the whole surface. Right, so these are all hit in now. I've given this a very rough sand back. We'll hit it with a bit of primer and a bit of paint and let it sit to the side for now. I'm just going to make a gasket for it because I couldn't get one from any of the local stores around here. So the key to making that work is a soft bit of wood, which will sort of help that push through, and you can pull that little piece out. So we're going to put a bit of gasket maker on here. We'll put down our gasket, some gasket maker over the top. I've dropped the panhard rod, so it's out of our way. It's easier access now to put it back in. One thing that's always good when you're doing this job is to clear out all of the old gasket maker and clean up your bolts. That way they won't bind up as you're going in and you won't have any issues. So the tightening torque for these bolts is 23 foot-pounds or 30 Newton meters. Just going over these, sort of starting from the bottom and then bringing it around. While we've got that gasket maker drying, we'll jump around and start on this side with the axle seal. We'll remove the spacers. Now we'll take the brake caliper off, hang it up here with a couple of cable ties. The top one's easily accessible with a ratchet. So what we do is we crack the bottom one off first, and then we'll get that all the way out. So that way it's nice and easy. Hopefully we can do it by hand after a couple of turns with the spanner. There we go. Make sure you release the handbrake. Now with the handbrake released, we can actually pop this off. Now that's out of the way, we can take this off. Now we've got access to these 4 nuts through these little holes. So with the Borg Warner diff, it means we're cycling through imperial and metric fittings to get all this out. With those 4 nuts removed, let's pull out the axle and see what we're working with. All right, while we're here, we'll pull this apart, clean that up. May or may not change the brake pads. So it looks like they've got a bit of oil on them, which will obviously wear away the friction pad. So yeah, we'll clean up a few things and see where we're at. So we'll take this axle off to a diff repair shop. We'll get them to remove the locking collar and the bearing, remove the seal as well. All right, so we've cleaned everything up. So we'll just pull out the bearing race now, and then we can restart the assembly. Got the new bearing kit in. The diff place said make sure you use Timken bearings. They're made in the US and they're much better than everything else. We've taken that advice and that's what we put in. Just going to lubricate drive shaft up here and just put a little bit of lubrication just around this outside lip on the seal. So that way it'll slide in and not get damaged. It's best to pull the handbrake and put it in gear, so that way the diff won't be spinning as you're trying to engage this. Now we'll take the car out of gear, remove the handbrake, so that way we can spin this and line it up with our nuts. So as I've been tightening them, I've just been doing opposites and going around, so that way it's going to seat that seal properly. Now we're going up to 55 Newton meters. So these are from the parts car. I did the run around trying to get a new set, but no one was holding any stock. So obviously I've cleaned all this up with degreaser and then hit it with brake cleaner. So I'll just cut the cable tie, that out, and hopefully this won't be a hassle. So we're chucking in some 80W90 gear oil. So fill the oil until you see a little dribble coming out the fill hole. I always put a little bit of gasket maker on the bung, so that way when it goes in, it'll seal it and you won't have it weeping over time. Now we'll lower the car down and then put the panhard rod in and tighten it up. All right, that's all done. A few people have been asking about the bonnet struts, so I'll put a video together over the weekend and see you then. Cheers.